Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, November 12th, 2011. This is episode 821. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ford, featuring Wi-Fi connectivity with available sync and My Ford Touch. Now your car could be a Wi-Fi hotspot. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, and it's time to talk tech. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you've got a question or you have a burning issue that you want to talk about. I'd love to talk about that with you. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., we get a lot of listeners internationally, all over the world. I love that. And I'd love to hear from you. You can just use Skype to call that toll-free number. It won't cost you anything because it's toll-free in the U.S. That's 888-827-5536. New phones this week. Boy, this was a big week for people who love these little devices, these computers in your pocket. I don't even want to call them cell phones anymore, partly because they're not the greatest phones in the world. Not, at least often not the greatest phones in the world. But, boy, they're sure great computers in your pocket, aren't they? The Motorola Razr came back. The return of the Razr. This time it's an Android phone, really thin, 7 millimeters thick. I don't even know what 7 millimeters, that's, there's 2.54 centimeters to the inch. So that means there's 2,000, correct me if I'm wrong, 2,540 millimeters to the inch, right? Yeah. So 7 millimeters is like small, thin. I can't do the math. It's tiny. 25.5 millimeters to an inch. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, 25.5 millimeters to the inch. We have many Canadians listening. Right, you're from Canada. You understand. You don't know what an inch is. That's the problem. What's this inch thing you talk about?
It's 0.27 inches.
0.27 inches. So it's about a quarter of an inch. Well, that's not that thin. Never mind. They often compare these things to pencils. So I bought a giant pencil just so that I could do the comparison. And yes, it is thinner than this giant pencil. Quarter of an inch is pretty. All right, it's thin. It's thinner than an iPhone, isn't it? And I guess that's really what you have to compare yourselves to. Although these days I think Android phones have established that they don't need to say we're the iPhone killer. That's not necessary anymore, isn't it? They stand alone. They do have a little chin, as Baba is saying in our chat room on the Razr, so it's mostly 7 millimeters, and it gets a little fat at the bottom. And you have to do that because you have to put the antennas and stuff in there. The real question is, what's the battery life like? And that's the thing that more and more, instead of how's the phone quality, how's the screen look, the real question is, they're all pretty good or they're all about equal, but the real question is, how long does the battery go for? How many hours can you use this thing before you have to recharge it? And in my opinion, I think the minimum has to be 12 hours. It has to get you through the day. You have to get up in the morning, unplug the phone, be able to use it throughout the day, both as a telephone, maybe, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of talk time. That should be enough, right? And then as a computing device, which is mostly how we use it, screen on, maybe a couple of hours. And then by the time you get home at night, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., then it's okay to plug it in. I don't know of anything that does that. Not one. So nothing is good enough I have, and I'm sure if you have a smartphone, you do also have chargers everywhere. I get to work, plug it in. Get in the car, plug it in. I even carry with me, and this is actually because the iPhone doesn't let you swap batteries out. I carry a case, a big case called a Mophie. Terrible name, now that I think of it. Don't say it wrong. The Mophie case, which is just basically a second battery in a case. Yeah, I don't mind. It's a little big and heavy, but it gives me doubles the life. I can get that 12 hours there and then some. More like 18 hours without plugging it in. The nice thing about this, too, is you could charge it separately. So I plug it into the wall, and I plug my iPhone in and recharge both in half the time. And then I'm ready to go. On Android phones, because you can replace the battery, a nice thing to do, and I always do this when I get a new Android phone, because they all have different batteries, is get an extra battery or two and an external charger. You need that because if you have to charge it in the phone, then that means you have to wake up in the middle of the night and change batteries so that both of them will be charged at the beginning of the day. But that's not so bad. The negative on that, of course, is that it shuts down the phone when you pull the battery out. Mophie is M-O-P-H-I-E. Let's in our chat room says, how do you spell that? M-O-P-H-I-E. So that's, I guess, the solution is have extra battery, bring it with you. I think because we're demanding these smaller and smaller phones, what is it, 0.27 inches, 7 millimeters is not thick enough to put a big battery in there. It really isn't. In fact, Apple did for a long time, and I think probably still does, get better battery life in the iPhone because it isn't removable. They don't have to put a packaging around it, so they can, in the same size device, put more battery. That's what Apple's, kind of betting on. Is, that people won't need to change battery if we put enough battery in there by not wrapping it in packaging. They do the same thing with their MacBook Air and actually all their notebooks now. So that's the question. Apple says they've fixed the battery life issues in iOS 5, and I'm very curious to see if that's, if you've downloaded it on Thursday, it became available. Was it the first over-the-air download for Apple iOS devices? That's cool. You didn't have to hook it up to your computer. You didn't have to relaunch iTunes to update your iPhone or your iPad. You could just go to the settings. There's an update entry now in the general settings. Wow, that's pretty cool. Software, and it just does it over the air. Just like a real phone. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, this is how every other phone has done it since time immemorial. Apple was the first ever to make you connect it up to a computer, which never made sense to me. Finally, they've got this over-the-air syncing, and it works pretty well, flawlessly. It's 44-megabyte download. Shouldn't take too long. They do require that you have at least 50% battery charge before you can do it. And I haven't heard any issues. My real question is, did it fix the battery problem? And I'd love you to call and let me know. 8888 Ask Leo. You've had a couple of days now to see whether it's better. So let's find out. Google TV. I had high hopes for Google TV when they released it last year. In fact, such high hopes that I foolishly spent $300 on a Logitech review, which was the Logitech version of it. Supposedly, in the next few weeks, they're going to push out an update to it that lets me open up the App Store and run apps, which I've thought for a long time would be the very coolest thing to do with one of these devices so that you can update it and add apps. I wish they'd do that with Apple TV. Logitech says it was a giant mistake. Oh, dear. There was an investor day hosted by Logitech. Their CEO said the review was a mistake of implementation of a giant nature. He says, we'll never again spend money on a product that's beta. We lost $100 million, and we're not going to make any more. That's kind of a blow to Google. Google, it's interesting. Google really is a very valuable brand, obviously. Just look at the stock market. I think they have a lot of respect. They became beloved because they provided excellent search with no frills. They didn't bombard you with ads and things. They just gave you great search. I think they've started to use up all the goodwill that they earned from that great search engine. And things are starting to turn against them. The Department of Justice is investigating them. People are not as happy with Google as they used to be, are they? They're not. They've tarnished the brand a little bit, and this Google TV is one example. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Let's go to the phones next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The holidays are fast approaching. Winter's here. There's so much to do. There are people to see, and yet, you know, wintertime home repairs are absolutely critical. Burst pipes, leaky roofs, furnace problems, stained carpets. You gotta do what I did. You have to sign up for Angie's List. You know, I should talk about Ford, shouldn't I?
Guide, online,
We got that barbecue coming tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm a Ford. You know, I'm a Ford fan. I don't have to tell you that. I drive my Mustang to work and all about town. Did you get a Mustang? You like it? GT. It's awesome. What year? Oh, I'm so jealous. So I have a 2010, and of course 2011, they completely updated the engines, and the new engines are amazing. Isn't it great? You got the sync? Don't you love the sync? Awesome. So correct me if I'm wrong here. So you're sitting here, you got your hand on the wheel, your eyes on the road, you never take your eyes off the road, you press the button on the steering wheel, it's right there where your thumb is. Now I've turned off the speech prompts. It just goes boom, and I'll say temperature. Boom, 73 degrees, and it sets it to 73 degrees. Or I'll say, boom, I'll say audio, and I could play a song. Now they've got this new, and I don't know, is it in yours? You have App Link? So jealous. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the deal. So App Link ties your Ford Sync into your smartphone. Now the first three apps are Pandora, Stitcher, and OpenBeak. So with Pandora, so what do? You press the button, it goes boom, and then do you say App Link? Do you then say App Link, or what do you?
No, the issue was I haven't gotten that far yet.
He hasn't gotten that far. All right. See, I have the old one. Yeah, it's through the Bluetooth, or you could connect it up. Yeah, that's what I do. I carry an iPod all the time, and then through Bluetooth. So on my phone, I've got newer books and stuff. So if you've got Pandora and it's an iPhone or an Android phone, I believe once you tie it in, you say, I think you'll just say App Link, and then you'll say Pandora's Play Classic Rock Station, and we'll do that. You can thumbs up and thumbs down a song. You can bookmark a song if you want to buy it later. So if you go to Ford.com/technology, we should probably just watch the video and then I'd know. I'm jealous because I don't have. It's in the 2012 Fiesta. I guess the 2012 Mustang. Many of the new 2012 cars. Ford has just really, I think, knocked this out of the park. I mean, if you think Siri is cool, you ought to try Sync. Sync is amazing. You should also check out some of the other great technologies they have at Ford.com/technology, including the Wi-Fi built into newer cars. I think the new Focus has that. The 2012 Fiesta. They've got there's the App Link. By the way, Stitcher lets you listen to podcasts like this one without having downloaded them ahead of time. And OpenBeak reads tweets, which is cool. The EcoBoost engines, the Fusion hybrid engine. I'm waiting for the electric Focus. It's just out. Can't wait to get that. So many cool features. Don't you love it's a simple thing like the capless fuel filler. The fact that you don't have to have a cap is awesome. It's just awesome. Little things like that. Adaptive cruise control, active park assist. Just amazing stuff. Ford.com/technology. Better yet, go to your friendly Ford dealer and take a test drive of the latest Fords. You will be amazed. And every Ford dealer has a Sync My Touch expert. And what's cool is they'll train you, so that you know how to use this stuff. It's just fantastic. We thank them for their support for the Tech Guy podcast and invite you to visit Ford.com/technology.
And a pillow for my head, I got a pencil full of lead and some water for my throat. I got buttons for my coat and sails on my boat. So much more than I needed before. I got money in the meter and a turbo heater. Oh, and now it's getting on the road. So
where do you find these things? That's the great, I don't know who. Who is that?
Paolo Nutini.
Paolo Nutini. Well, there you go.
Pencil full of lead.
It's called A Pencil Full of Lead. I don't think never mind. That's Kyle Benham, our musical director. He's an amazing fellow. Picks the strangest songs, if you like them, though, and I like that one a lot. Just, you could follow him on Google Plus, and you'll see his what do you call it? His plus at the end of every show with a list, a playlist, and a link to a Spotify playlist so you can hear all that music. But we also put it in the show notes. Show notes are on our website, techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. James DeRuvo is very assiduously writing everything down as I say it and putting those in the show notes. We are working. I've contracted with a company up in Vancouver called ImageX Media, and we're working on a new Tech Guy Labs site that will be much better. I've promised this for years, but we're finally doing it. And we are sparing no expense. So you better like it. You better use it. I hope you like it. I hope you use it. But I think it's going to be a lot better. For one thing, right now on the Tech Guy site, it's just kind of read-only. You go there, you see what James wrote. It has search. You can go back. You can see all the shows. This is episode 821, so there's 820 shows worth of notes there. Audio from most of the shows. There will be audio and video once we get the new site up. But more importantly, you'll be able to comment not only on every show, but on every question and answer and on every segment. So when I take a call and answer a question, it'll have my answer. It'll have the question, of course, my answer. It'll have video of my question and answer. And then below it, you will have a chance to tell me I'm full of it, which is great. And you'll even furthermore, so you can go to that question and answer. You can see what I thought. You can see what the other people, our listeners thought. And you can vote up or down on an answer. So you can see what the highest ranking listener answer was. I think it's going to be a big improvement. Anyway, that's. I would say that's it takes about 3 months maybe to get this going. So I'd say by early 2012 we'll have that running, and then it'll be a process of slowly getting all the old shows into it because there's quite a bit of existing data at techguylabs.com. Link there to our chat room, 670 strong. I'm sure it'll hit 1,000 before the show's over. Nicely moderated, so it's very safe for everybody, and I think you'll enjoy that. That's very valuable to me. I watch the chat room like a hawk to see, what's going on, their answers to my answers, and you can also find the video there, the audio, and everything else. TechGuyLabs.com. Leslie's our first call of the day in Kensington, Maryland. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leo. You're not full of anything but wisdom.
And hot air.
Well, that's the only it you're full of.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Yeah. Actually, you were talking earlier about Google and the brand.
Yeah, do you think they've tarnished the brand? Are they still beloved?
Well, I think they all tarnished their own brands at one point or another. I mean,
it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I'm sort of aggravated with Apple today, which is what I'm calling you about. So I'm hoping that Google is going to be my salvation rather than being interested in. I mean, the problem is, I want to be able to sync my contacts between my iPod and my iPad and my address book on my Apple computers, and I used to do it through MobileMe, but now I can't do it through the iCloud.
Forget it, because you need Lion. Yeah.
That's right. And I don't mind upgrading to Lion, except that I also have to then replace other software like Microsoft Office, which does cost some money, and other things as well.
Quicken doesn't work. All of a sudden, if you use Quicken, you're going to have to. You're going to be stuck.
Right.
And Lion, I'll be honest, eventually you're going to have to upgrade to Lion because that's how Apple works. They will push you and push you and push you. I take it you're on Snow Leopard right now, the last version.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far, so good. You could stay on Snow Leopard. There's no urgency. You've got the App Store. All the apps I know of will continue to work. It doesn't break any apps like Lion does. So I'd stick with Snow Leopard for right now. Tim O'Reilly, who I highly respect, just wrote a piece on Google Plus that I thought was very interesting. And talk about tarnishing the brand. Mm-hmm. Tim said, "What is going on with Lion? Mm-hmm. This is Apple basically forcing you into the Apple world more and more. They're changing the way you get apps. We've called it the iOSification, which is a terrible word, of the desktop. It's more and more like the iPad." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tim says, he writes, "Does anyone else find that each successive release of OS X gets worse, more Windows-like in its obscurity, its tendency to hide affordances that were once a joy to the advanced user, more buggy, more user-hostile, with more attempts to lock you into Apple's own apps? I'm starting to hate Mac OS X And this is a guy who, like me, when Apple came along, we felt like, hey, this is a great alternative to Windows. I've recommended it for years, but I do believe that Apple is locking us in further and further. And you've got a great example. When you migrate to Lion, you're going to start using iCloud. You don't have to use iCloud, but it's,
well, my
they push it
problem
on
is
you.
What I really want to be able to do is put an address in my, well, I'm planning on getting an iPhone.
You hit the nail on the head, and it works cross iPhone, Android phone, even BlackBerry phones. Use Google.
Yeah. Now, but here's the issue that has kept me from doing this all along, because I do use it for my calendar, but I had some, somehow or another, something got into my Gmail and sent out spam, emails to everybody on my contact list. And I was like, uh-oh.
That's not good.
So I just deleted all my contacts off of Gmail and just used,
No, that's not the answer, by the way. The answer is to change your password, not to delete your contacts.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, if they're still getting into your Gmail, then that's bad. So change your password, then you don't have to delete your contacts.
Yeah, I did that, and I'm thinking what I'll do is just put a really, really, really secure password.
Yeah, good password, and make sure there's a couple of things with Google that you want to do. One is, of course, always with any account, use a strong password. That means as random as you can do with numbers, punctuation, and upper and lowercase letters mixed together. So a dictionary word, bad choice. You also, with Google, they have, and it's I think very important to do it, is to turn on the feature that lets you use your cell phone in case you forget your password. It's a very simple feature. They encourage you to do it. And what it will do if you forget your password is it'll send it'll send a notice to your cell phone and you can get back in. This is also important if somebody gets into your account, because when that happens, if you don't have this backup, you won't be able to fix your account, because they'll change the password and you've locked out of it. And now this guy's really owned you. So a couple of things. Strong password. I'm going to give you a hint about how to do that. Strong password. And then make sure you have turned on this call, send a text to my cell phone or call my cell phone if I forget my password. Those two things make Google more secure. Here's the strong password. A strong password to a bad guy may be an easy password for you to remember. One good way to do this, take a song lyric. This is what I do. Take a song lyric and take the first 10 words of the song lyric and use the first letter of each of those words as a letter in your password. And uppercase, for instance, you could uppercase nouns, uppercase verbs, use punctuation, and then add a number to it, your zip code. You've now made a very strong password that's easy to recover. We'll talk more in a sec. We're talking about passwords. I wanted to spend a little more time on this because it's such an important topic. Our last caller, wanted to use Google, and I do encourage you. I think this is a good idea to use Google for your calendar, for your contacts, and then the advantage is it's easy to sync to your desktop, whether it's Windows, Mac, or even Linux. It's easy to connect to your phone. And the thing everybody wants is I change something on my phone, and then it changes it everywhere. And that's how it works. And I think that's great. In fact, it's beautiful because when I get a new phone, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, it works fine in Apple products. I log into my Google account. I set up my Google account, and it's automatically populated with all of the phone numbers and the calendar. And that's great, and tasks and all that stuff. So I do highly recommend that. But there are some things you should do to secure your Google account or any account. So we're talking about good passwords. And I'll say it again. You need to generate a password with what looks like as close to a random combination of upper, lowercase letters, punctuation, and numbers as possible. It should be 8 characters. 10 would be better. 10 would be better. Do not use the same password for multiple accounts. If it's something like, say, the New York Times, where you don't really care if somebody breaks into it, okay, yeah, maybe have a standard low security password that you use for stuff like that. But anything like Twitter, Facebook, Google that you really want to keep secure, and trust me, you do, you shouldn't use the same password for that and other sites. Because if one of those sites gets hacked, what the bad guy often will do is say, well, good, I got a password. Let's see if they've used the same password elsewhere. I use a password keeper that I really like. It also will generate strong passwords. It's called LastPass. It's free. It works on everything. I highly recommend it. LastPass.com. They have a pro version for $1 a month. I pay for it just because I want to support them. It's a fantastic product. So if you use LastPass, you can have it generate passwords. The only reason, it makes me a little nervous is because I can't recreate those generated passwords. You just have to trust that LastPass will never forget them or you're in trouble. So that's why I like to make my own passwords. I don't mind. I like having a password that I can recreate, but it's got to be random. It's got to be long. So again, one way to do this, and one of many ways, is to take a song lyric and take the first letters of the first 10 words in the lyric, uppercase some, lowercase others. Use an algorithm. Use a way of doing it so you can recreate this. I uppercase nouns. And I include any punctuation in there. Commas, exclamation marks, maybe even add my own. But that's not enough. Now I've got a password, but I want to lengthen it. And this is what my friend Steve Gibson explained with his password haystacks page. It's at grc.com. He said, as it turns out, the longer the password, as it gets longer, it gets exponentially more difficult to crack. So merely adding a standardized pattern at the end of that password that you've generated will make it even more difficult. You could do 10 periods, ... That makes it a 20-character password. Impossible. Now, if the bad guy knew that your pattern was 10 periods, well, then that might not be so perfect. So maybe I use my zip code. You remember that. That adds, 5 extra characters. That's really making it strong. So that's a way to make a very strong password. If you want to use LastPass, certainly making your LastPass password, which is the master password that gets you into LastPass, something like that so you can't forget it and you can't lose it, is a good idea. Yeah, 90210, that's my password. That's right. Do not use a dictionary word. Do not use a word. I'll tell you why. Because what the bad guys do is something called a brute force attack. They take a dictionary of hundreds of thousands of words, and they just try them all until they get in. That's called a brute force attack. And if you're using a dictionary word, it's literally seconds to get in. Don't use sex as a password. Internet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are, and you'd be surprised how many people use them. Twitter, I was proud of Twitter the other day. They said, we're not going to let you use any of the 20 most commonly used passwords. That's a good thing. Of course, if you want to be able to deny what you've tweeted, like Representative Weiner or Justin Bieber or Ashton Kutcher, then maybe you want to have a weak password. It makes it easier to deny. I didn't do that. I must have been hacked. Having a good password is great. Then if you're using Google, go into Google and they have some security options, one of which is send me a text message when somebody tries to change my password or tries to change my text number. This is called second factor authentication. It's fantastic. What it means is not only does somebody have to know your password, they have to have your cell phone, physically have your cell phone for them to break in. That's good. That's good. I mean, if somebody steals your phone and your password, well, but by then something worse has happened probably, right? Than losing your Google password. So turn those features on. We need to have good passwords. There's some debate. We talked about this last week, whether you should change your passwords or be required to change your passwords regularly. I wouldn't mind. I think not a bad idea to have every year on New Year's Day to change your email password, something like that, just in case. Here's why. If somebody cracks your email password, you may never know that. Maybe they just want to read your email. They could continue to read your email without your knowledge for years until you change the password. So not a bad idea, periodically, just to change the password. Email, I think, particularly. 8888 Ask Leo. I can talk more about this if you want, but let's get to Jules in Newport Beach, California, our next caller. Hi, Jules. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Jules.
My question is that I am visually impaired, and I'm looking for a voice interactive application where I can go into, open the computer and say, open Safari, go to such and such a thing, then read the information, or go to Google, please spell and define this particular word.
You want to talk to your computer.
Want to talk to it, and I want it to talk back to me.
And I could tell that you have a Macintosh because you mentioned Safari.
Correct.
And guess what? This is built into the Macintosh.
Well, but the Macintosh, you have to use the mouse, and I'm blind, so I can't use the mouse.
I don't think you do have to use the mouse. So you might need somebody to help you set this up. But you can talk to your Mac. You can either have it listen for a special keyword. So the microphone's on all the time, and you'll say computer, and it will start listening. Or you could press a key, like the space key on your keyboard. You get to choose that, and then the computer will listen to you. You don't need to use the mouse.
Oh.
Isn't that I think one of the things Apple has done quite well is set up assistive technologies. That's what we call these in its systems. So you'll go to the speech system preference pane to do this, and there's a speech recognition. You could tell it what microphone to use. You could say what the listening key is, or you could say listen continuously. And then you could say what word you want it to say. You could have it say ishkabibble, and every time you say, it should be an uncommon word, by the way. You could say ishkabibble, and the computer will start listening, and then you could speak a command. And it will give you a list of all the commands that it will listen for, and it's pretty complete. You can have address book names speakable. You can add to the folder of speakable items. It's very sophisticated.
But will it read, like, for instance, I'm always interested in sports blogs.
And you want it to, you want it to, it'll read any text. That's the second part of it. That's not speech recognition. That's speech, text-to-speech conversion. It also does that, and it does it in some beautiful voices. Apple has really got this down. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, Ask Leo. So, just to finish that last call, they've got voice recognition, they've got voiceover, which reads stuff. The Mac is really, and I'm not blind, obviously, but I do know many people who use this. They also feel like the iOS voice technologies are very good. So I would certainly look at those. If you've already got a Mac, you can find those in the system preference panes under speech. That's the voice recognition. See, anybody can use the voice recognition. And if you like Siri, it's not even just a matter of time. I think that's where Apple's headed, is to put this Siri thing that's in their iPhone in the desktops, too, so people start talking. And you know why Apple wants to do this, I believe? They want to get Google. So they want to get you used to using Siri to make your searches, to make your requests. Certainly on the phone, that's how you search for stuff. You talk to Siri. And once you've done that, now right now when you talk to Siri, it uses Google, unless you've changed the settings. But once you start getting dependent on Siri, you don't really care where the results come from, right? You just want the results. Then they can, turn off Google. Make it be anything they want. Make it be the Apple search engine. Howard in San Diego, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Leo. Thank you very much for taking the call.
Thanks for calling.
Great advice, and I need your help.
All right.
My situation is I'm about to transition. I've been a 25-year user of PCs, and I'm about to transition from that over to the Macintosh. And I'm trying to decide on, not only what to purchase between the Mac Air or Mac Pro, but what to expect just from moving from my environment of, Windows and PC over to the environment of Macintosh.
Right. Well, one thing that makes this pretty easy, and it's certainly something I do on all my Macs, I put Windows on all the Macs. Apple makes this doable very simply. They have something called Boot Camp. And with Boot Camp, you have a dual boot system. And all the Macs will launch Windows and run Windows 7 very nicely. In fact, I was just playing Elder Scrolls Skyrim, which is a very demanding video game on my late model iMac. In Windows, I booted into Windows, and it plays beautifully. So, in fact, at the highest quality, and it just looks gorgeous, full screen, 1920 by 1280. So, Apple's make, and Walt Mossberg was the guy who said this, Apple's make very good Windows machines. So you're not giving up Windows. Now, I think that's a transitional thing because, you're going to be able to do everything you do, almost everything, except maybe gaming, that you do with Windows right now on a Mac. It'll help ease the pain. There's another way to run Windows on a Mac, and that's with emulation, so that you've probably seen this in Windows with Virtual PC or VMware. You can run another operating system within your operating system. You can run Windows within your Mac. It's just a Windows window on the Mac desktop. And that helps, too, if there's Windows apps that you need that you can't get on the Mac. So you're not going to be left behind if you really feel like, I got all this investment, especially investment in Windows apps. Because remember, none of your Windows apps will work on OS X. You'll have to run those in emulation. You can buy new copies of Microsoft Office for the Mac, but you'll have to buy new copies. Microsoft doesn't say, oh, no problem, we'll just give you a Mac version. Now, the biggest thing that people run into, the truth is the Mac is more and more Windows-like every year, and Windows is more and more Mac-like every year. There's such cross-pollination between Microsoft and Apple that I don't think you're going to feel too unfamiliar at all. The biggest thing is, instead of the control panels, it's system preferences. Instead of the start menu being at the bottom, their menus are at the top of the screen. Actually, the biggest difference is that instead of putting a menu in the window, as Microsoft does, menus are always at the top of the screen. I personally think Microsoft's got it right. I think Apple did it that way when screen real estate was limited and hardware was limited. But nowadays, because you can have so many windows open, it just makes more sense for me to have the menu bar for any application in its window than at the top of the screen. That confuses Windows users. The menu bar will always be at the top of the screen. It will be the menu bar for the active window, the topmost window. Once you get used to that, the rest is cake. As for which computer to get, I like the MacBook Air for portability. But the drives are smaller because they're SSDs. Now, that's nice because it makes it seem very fast. But if you want to also run Windows, a bigger drive might be something useful. The problem is, this is the MacBook Pro, the 15-inch MacBook Pro, faster, but also bigger and heavier. Bigger screen, bigger weight. So it really comes down to how important portability is. I think the MacBook Air is fantastic. It's what I travel with. It's what I carry all the time. You can get a bigger hard drive in it at a greater cost. You'll want that because you'll need at least 10 to 20 gigabytes for your Windows install. Did I answer your questions, Howard?
Perfectly. Actually, perfectly.
Yeah, because those are your choices. I don't think you should hesitate if you're a Windows user. Nowadays, it's all kind of very similar. Same, and especially since we mostly now use the web, right? The web looks the same on everything.
Right.
Good luck, Howard. I don't think you're going to have too much difficulty. I think you'll like the transition. I wish I could say Apples were virus-free. They're mostly virus-free. There are attacks on the Macs now because market share has grown and Windows users are more secure. So those things do happen. But as a Windows user, your prudence, the prudence that you've learned over the years, will protect you. You'll be much less likely to do dumb things. It's the longtime Mac users who are more at risk because they've been living in a world where there was nothing to harm them. Those things have changed. Let's see here. Anthony, Diamond Bar, California. Trying to decide between an Ultra Mobile and an iPad, huh?
Yeah, I'm actually interested in buying my first tablet, and I was looking at the iPad too, but I recently saw the Toshiba Thrive. And it looks like
I hate the Thrive. No, the Thrive is awful. I didn't realize you were looking at tablets. There's only, at this point, I think this will change at some point. At this point, there's only one tablet to look at, iPad. None of the Android iPad or tablets are worth looking at because Android doesn't support tablets very well. It doesn't. I don't like the honeycomb, even ice cream sandwich, and there are very few tablet-specific apps. iPad, there's 250,000 iPad apps. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Now, that may change, as I said, in time, but Apple has owned this market, and they continue to own this market, and I anticipate they will continue to do so until spring of next year. That's when we'll start seeing Windows 8 tablets or something like it. If you need Windows, yeah, all right, get a Windows tablet, but certainly not Thrive. Terrible. Terrible tablet. It's like the Playbook, the touchpad. There have been so many attempts to go at Apple, and they've all failed. It's just not even a question. iPad 2, iPad 2. And I'm, as you heard at the beginning of the hour, I'm not an Apple cheerleader by any means. But when something is the best in class, there's just no question about it. I like the Asus convertible. All right, we're going to talk about it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll come back in just a little bit, and we'll have a little battle because we got somebody in studio who has that Asus convertible. Oh, wow, your wife has an iPad, and you have the Asus convertible. It might be a he said, she said thing. We'll find out. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, Data UK agrees the Asus Transformer's better. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to talk about computers, technology. You know, I was wondering why I got a box from the Coca-Cola company. They sent me vitamin water. Is this some sort of hint? It's a new flavor of vitamin water. Hey, you know, don't you wish you had a national radio show so you'd get free bottles of vitamin water in the mail? Yes, you see? That's living large. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. All right, I'm going to turn on this microphone here. Let's see if I could talk to come get this microphone because we're gonna talk a little bit here. What's your name?
Spiro.
Spiro, you come from Vancouver, British Columbia.
That's right.
And your wife's name?
Megan.
Megan. Yeah. Spiro and Megan have are an interesting couple because Spiro has an Asus Transformer. This is a Android tablet. No, you can keep it. That turns into a laptop. It has a docking keyboard and it turns it into an Android laptop. And Spiro loves it. And your wife loves her iPad too, right?
Yeah.
In fact, she's looking at him saying he's nuts.
We fought over it many times, yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to first you give me your case, Spiro, for why this caller who was looking at now, first of all, I think you'd agree with me. The Toshiba Thrive, terrible.
Oh, yeah. No.
Don't get that.
Don't get that. No, that's bad.
Don't get that.
If you're going to get something, I always recommend Asus or Samsung.
Yeah, those are good companies.
Great products.
I have a Samsung Galaxy Tab 10-1. It's an Android tablet. It's running Honeycomb. It's okay. I don't think it's an iPad. Why would I get this instead of an iPad?
Okay, there's two big reasons that I got it. First of all, it's a battery.
I feel like Dr. Phil here. Go ahead.
So our marital problems are no. I'm just
yes.
The battery life is a lot longer on this than it is on the iPad.
Really? So the iPad's 10 hours. You're getting more than 10 hours?
I've got 26 hours straight because I had a whole programming night fest thing.
But that makes sense because there's not only room for the battery in the tablet, there's probably an extra battery in the keyboard.
There is. In the keyboard, there's an extra battery. So
but you pay for that by weight and size. Yeah.
So that's one reason. And then the other reason is because it's got all the extra ports that come with the tablet. So if I want to plug in, a mouse because I'm more efficient on the mouse, so I'm working and I don't like the touchpad, I can plug it in.
You want a keyboard. I understand that. I mean, and there are a lot of iPad users, I've never understood it, who use a Bluetooth keyboard. They have special iPad
cases. They can get those Logitech ones, and then you stand it
That's
up,
exactly
and
right.
It works over Bluetooth, and I just didn't like that. This just feels more natural.
See, to me, if you want that, I don't understand why you just wouldn't buy a laptop.
Because I have a very expensive laptop.
Oh, you need a lighter laptop.
And I didn't want to, and it's huge.
Yeah,
it's
so that's where a MacBook Air or one of the new ultralight, ultra-mobile laptops.
I also don't like Mac, though.
No, but do you like Windows?
I love Windows. Only Windows 7, I have to specify.
So here you're using a Toshiba, I'm sorry, a Asus Transformer, and you have to use the Android operating system, even with a keyboard. Is that a decent, effectively desktop operating system?
It's enough. If I wanted a desktop system where I could do things that you can do on a desktop, that's what I would have got. But for what I need it for, just to check my emails, to do some basic things like if I want a remote desktop or...
Did you consider maybe a Chromebook?
Yeah,
one of the Google
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks.
Were new when I got this, and I wasn't sure about.
They're kind of netbook quality. The one I'd really look at for you, since you like Asus, is the Zen, which is their new ultralight, ultra mobile, ultrabook.
But again, I didn't have very many options when I first got this.
So let's talk to Megan.
Okay. Oh, hang on. One more thing.
One more thing, says Spiro.
How many times has she come to me and say, "Can I go on your tablet because there's a Flash site that I can't see on my iPad?"
Flash. Okay. By the way, that and I agree with you that that's one of the things that Android has really pushed. These Android tablets run Flash. They won't much longer because Adobe's announced they're going to kill Flash on the mobile platform completely. So then neither of you will be able to run Flash. So Megan,
You're not helping.
Megan, you seem to like your iPad a lot. Yeah. So what's wrong with the Asus transformer?
Aside from, I don't want to use it with a keyboard because it's too much like a laptop.
Yeah, just get a laptop.
Just the tablet itself, I didn't find it was balanced. Like I use.
But how about from the usability point of view of the software and the operating system? Do you prefer the iPad operating system?
I do. It's very simple.
I think it's easier. It's
I have
straight.
an Android phone, and it's great.
I love it, but I'm not knocking the Android phone. I think the Android phones are great. It's the tablets I'm knocking.
I really didn't like it. I just felt that the whole thing is not balanced. I use my iPad as a reader a lot.
Yeah.
And it's
you wouldn't use that as a reader.
It's hard. Like it's.
It falls over.
It's really not good. And to type on the touch screen itself is really not not fun either.
Well, there you go. That's there you go. So good luck. You're a mixed marriage, and I hope you survive.
Thank you, Leo.
I feel like Dr. Phil, I swear. But I think that's good. You gave us the pros and cons of both, and I think that for everything there's pros and cons. I love these new Ultrabooks. I have to say, if you want Windows and you want an ultralight notebook, I think these like the Asus Zen, these are great, and they're under $1,000. They're roughly the same as the MacBook Air. I'm a fan of the MacBook Air, but if you need Windows or you want Windows and you don't want if like Spiro you hate Macintosh, you're a Mac hater, then I think these Ultrabooks are pretty nice. This Asus Zen basically is a MacBook Air running Windows. But I just can't recommend it. I'm sorry, Spiro. I just can't recommend Toshiba tablets, Android tablets. But if you are going to get an Android tablet, I agree with you. The Asus Transformer is by far the best thing. It's a laptop running Android, basically. 8888 asked Leo, can this marriage be saved? A new feature on the Tech Guy Show. No, they're very happy, I could tell. Liz is on the line, our next caller. Where are you calling from, Liz?
From Petaluma.
You're from Petaluma? Wait a minute. Is this the Liz who works for me?
No.
Yes, it is. I can see you through the window, Liz.
I can't see me. You can't see me.
All right, Liz. Where are you calling from? Petaluma. Not only Petaluma, she's in the building. All right, go ahead, Liz. What's your question?
Okay, so I recently bought a new laptop because everyone was making fun of my old HP desktop and my Toshiba laptop, which is, oh my God, why am I there? And so
try not to giggle so much, Liz, because it's confusing me.
Okay, sorry, I'll stop hopping too.
So I remember. No, actually, Liz works in my office, and we have a kind of a running battle in our office, much like Spiro and Megan do, between Windows and Mac. And the office people almost all use Windows because business apps, Windows seems a better choice. And all the video editors use Macs because they're using Final Cut. I use a Mac and I use Windows too. I was using Windows earlier today. I kind of use a mix, and our switchers are Windows. So we're really kind of we go both ways in this office. Liz says she wanted a Windows laptop, and Russell, our IT guy, he suggested that Dell. Is that what you got, Liz?
Yeah, I got the Dell. It's the XPS Z15 or something like that. That's what I got.
The Zs look a lot like MacBooks.
Yeah.
Like a 15-inch MacBook Pro. And are you happy with it?
I love it. It's fantastic.
So what's the problem?
So the problem I have is, I have the old HP desktop, I have my old laptop, and I want to get all of my pictures, all of my music off of it into a cloud so I don't jam up my new laptop. I want to get rid of the ancient stuff that they... Dropbox? That's the cloud I need to use?
Yeah, well, there's another one. There's a Microsoft cloud called SkyDrive that's also nice. SkyDrive gives you a lot of storage, but Microsoft unaccountably hasn't built in real syncing services to SkyDrive, which is bizarre. Because here they have basically this great cloud service with 25 gigs of storage. It works beautifully. It's got Google-style document sharing, and it doesn't sync. So once Microsoft turns on syncing better, maybe. But frankly, I think Dropbox... is right now a great solution. And what's nice about Dropbox is cross-platform. A lot of apps support it, so you don't have to, you can, it's kind of built into a lot of applications on the phone as well as on the desktop. It's kind of my favorite. So Dropbox, Liz, we'll set you up with an account. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. She never stops bouncing. I just want to point this out. You could have walked in and used the mic.
Take your laptop on the road.
You're so cute. Come in here.
Because in
Silly
an instant,
girl.
your computer could crash.
Give her the
You could
mic.
get infected with a virus. It could get stolen.
She's
it
not.
could get
She's not
lost,
listening to me anymore.
And you could lose your files forever.
Isn't she great?
But if you do as
I
I
love
do
Liz.
and get
Come-
Carbonite Online backup before you have a
Take the mic. You could have just used the mic, you silly. Silly. So Dropbox is good. Sugar Sync, they're saying, is good. I use Silver Oak, but there are a lot of different services, or Spider Oak, I should say. There are a lot of different services like this.
Well, also the other thing is that I have a Dell, I have an iPhone, and I'm getting the Fire.
Dropbox.
Dropbox will work for everything.
Now, the Fire is unknown. Fire is completely unknown. It's Android, and Dropbox is available on Android, but it's unclear whether... I bet they'll use the Amazon Marketplace. Let me see if the Amazon Marketplace has Dropbox.
I guess you could just always just plug the Fire into whatever laptop you end up using.
Oh, I have the Dell. I definitely have the Dell. That's what I'm using.
That's going to be that's actually a very good question. What's going to happen when you get the Fire and we don't know this yet, is how much the Fire will be Android. It's a kind of highly customized Android. I'm pretty sure they offer Dropbox on the Amazon Marketplace. If they do, then you'll certainly be able to download it. Oh, interesting. They do not.
Yay!
That's not good. Well, they do BoxNet. They do SugarSync. They do Evernote. Looks like Dropbox, thank you, is not available. That's kind of surprising. That's really surprising. One of the nice things that is also true about Dropbox is many programs on Android will automatically use Dropbox. Like, for instance, Gina's to-do text will use Dropbox for your to-do list. So you have some Dropbox support. Quick Office uses Dropbox. So a lot of the programs that you might use will still be able to see your Dropbox account. Boy, that's very interesting. I would take a look at Box.net as an alternative because they do offer this on the Android Marketplace. It's very similar to Dropbox. 50 gigs when you sign up on a mobile device, which is nice. So Dropbox is one word. Oh, so they do have it? Maybe I'm not doing it right. Let's see. Am I searching wrong? I thought I did one word. Let's see. I don't see it. So it is on the Android Marketplace for Android phones, but the problem is it needs to be on the... I don't think Amazon will allow the Marketplace. It's funny that they sent me vitamin water. It's a new flavor. It's attention flavor. Attention. Yes. Now with tension. No, this has got stuff to make you... It's got caffeine and glucose. It's called... strangely, it's the color of Red Bull. So it's Fiji apple watermelon flavored.
I'll be your poison tester.
You want to try some?
Yes.
All right.
I will do it for you, sir.
All right, please drink this, and you might want to chill it first.
Ooh, chili.
It tastes like spit if you don't chill it.
Okay. Yeah, but no, that was the main thing.
I still think Dropbox, but the Fire is a kind of a wild card on that one. That's actually an interesting.
Well, it comes out on the 15th, so.
Yeah, we'll get it in a week.
I get mine too. It's coming here.
Yay! You're going to review it for a review show? You should.
No, Tom's doing it on the.
Bastard.
I'd rather hear Tom Merritt's opinion than mine.
All right. I think there's quite a few people who would prefer your opinion, but.
I'll give my bouncy version.
The bouncy version. Bouncy Grandma? Is that the name of that song? Liz is only like 22. 88. Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Liz, like me, sits on an exercise ball. Actually, many of my my employees sit on exercise balls. They probably think it'll get them in good with me. It doesn't help. But the reason we do is it's good for our core. It's good for our strength. And Liz has a lot of excess energy, so she's bouncing like all day at work. Briefly, this issue of syncing, it's of course a very hot topic right now. Apple made it a hotter topic by introducing iCloud, which is available for all devices from Apple, including iOS and desktops. Of course, you have to upgrade to Lion on the desktop and iOS 5 on the portable devices. But now when you, for instance, take a picture on your iPhone, if you turn it on, it automatically goes to a photo stream, and that picture is duplicated on your desktop, on your iPad, everywhere. It's going to get some people in trouble, I know. But that's that's another matter for another day. When you create a document on your desktop, it's automatically, if you turn it on, sent to the cloud. And if you're using Apple's applications, Pages, Keynote, Numbers, it'll automatically be available to the Pages, Keynote, and Numbers on your portable devices as well. So, and it's all transparent, but it's also, there's not a lot of control over it. It just kind of happens. So if you're on iOS, the iCloud is a good choice. It doesn't go cross-platform. Doesn't work with Windows. Doesn't work with Android. So there's some limitations there. Companies like Dropbox are completely cross-platform. Box.net is another good choice. I like Dropbox because it seems that that was widely adopted by the geeks who write these programs. And so a great many portable programs and desktop programs automatically support Dropbox. And I think that's a nice feature. So things just sync automatically. She's also getting, this complicates it, a Kindle Fire in a week. That's the new Kindle Color tablet that'll be out later this week. And it's unclear what kind of options they'll be available for the Kindle Fire. Amazon's already said the Fire will sync itself to Amazon's own storage. Now, the folks in the chat room are saying, oh, Box.net, unquestionably, because if you sign up on a portable device, you get 50 gigs free. Only 2 gigs free on Dropbox. So that is a good point. Box.net doesn't have the wide app support that Dropbox does, but, you know, it might be wide enough. And it is available on the Fire. So maybe Box.net is the big... You know what? Box.net, Liz, we're going to go with that. The chat room wins on this. Well, you have to get Box.net first on your iOS device, then you get the free 50 gigs. They're being very aggressive, aren't they? They're going strong after Dropbox, which is kind of the industry leader. Alan in Mission Viejo, California, listening on the great KFI. You're next. Hi, Alan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Uncle Leo, how you doing?
I'm great, nephew. How are you?
Great. Hey, I'm a IT professional. I use Windows and Linux at work, but I run a Mac home.
You're kind of like me. You know, you're platform agnostic. Use the tool that's right for the job. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to look for a internet TV appliance. I'm looking at the Apple TV and the new Roku. I wanted to kind of get your take on those.
Yeah, and I have both. In fact, I have so many internet appliances, TV appliances, that I've run out of HDMI ports on my television. I have to have a port switcher. I've got more than 7. And there's quite a few of them. There's my friend Veronica Belmont, who's going to be the host of our new gaming show, and just a great person. She hosts a TV show, or an internet TV show called Techzilla. With the help of her friends, has put together a Google Doc that is a spreadsheet of all the set-top boxes and their features. So I'm going to give you that link. We'll put it in the show notes as well. It's bit.ly. That's a URL shortener. Bit.ly. bit.ly/SETTOP. One word. bit.ly/set-top. And she's got them all here. And this, I think, is important before you make your purchase, just to see what features. For instance, Netflix, almost all of them have Netflix. Hulu Plus, not all of them have it. YouTube, some of them, not the Roku. So some of the features that you're looking for may not be there. The ability to plug in a hard drive, for instance. Is that there? DLNA support, is that there? So it's a really complicated choice depending on what you want to do. So tell me why you want to get a set-top box. I mean, basically, all of these do the same thing. They connect the internet to your television.
Yeah, and I have an older HD TV that doesn't have all the internet apps and stuff like the new TVs have.
Right.
And so I was looking for the Netflix and the other stuff. And like I said, I have a iPhone and iPad at home, so even the AirPlay is kind of interesting with the Apple TV.
Ah, yeah, that's one advantage Apple TV has. AirPlay is great.
Okay.
So that, in a way, that gives it a lot more capability because anything you could put on your iPad, you can put on your TV.
Right.
That's a huge advantage. So that may be, Apple TV does have Netflix. It has a different interface to Netflix. I like it. It works. Apple TV also has, of course, iTunes. It's the only one that has iTunes. So if you buy or rent stuff on iTunes, that's great. It doesn't have Hulu Plus. It doesn't have, and this is a big one for me, Amazon. I buy and rent a lot of stuff on Amazon.
Right, and that's what I was looking at with maybe even the Amazon Prime.
Right, the Roku does do that. So, so again, this is why this fabulous spreadsheet is so useful, because you're going to look at and the features that you're looking for and see if they do it. Now, what I have to say is, unfortunately, we're in a situation right now, kind of a transitional situation, where no one thing does everything. A computer would. If you had a Mac Mini running Plex, it would do everything. But even the Boxy Box, which is very good, is missing a few features. So this is a great spreadsheet.
Okay.
From what you just told me, if you have an iPad or an iOS device where you want to, and you have iOS 5 and you want to use AirPlay, I think the Apple TV is a really strong candidate for that reason alone.
Okay.
Because you can do anything that, if you look at your iPhone or iPad and say, this does everything I want, well, then your Apple TV will too.
Flash support.
Pardon me?
Except for Flash support. That's the only thing.
That's the one missing. And you know what does do that? Google TV, Boxy Box.
Right.
The Roku does not. It does Silverlight. So I wish there were a good answer. You might want to wait till January. Of course, that's the big Consumer Electronics Show. We'll be broadcasting live from there, and they will have lots of new announcements there. It's an interesting conundrum. I have both the Apple TV and the Roku, and a bunch of others. I find that I use the Roku the most. But because I have Amazon, I want Amazon on there. But if you're content to say on Netflix, iTunes, Hulu Plus, and AirPlay, then the Apple TV is a great choice. Roku's very cheap right now. They dropped the price considerably, so that's another reason to take a look at the Roku box. ROKU.com is the Roku. If you have an older TV, the less expensive Roku is probably a good choice. I wish there were a good answer to this. bit.ly/SETTOP. Great spreadsheet to take a look. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The test guy. That's what I should call the review portion of this show, because I do test a lot of stuff. We're just talking about this new thing from Jawbone. You remember, you still see it. A couple of years ago, everybody was wearing those yellow Livestrong rubber band bracelets, to talk about, cancer prevention, cancer cure. I mean, it's a great cause. And I support Lance Armstrong and Livestrong. I think in the next coming year, you're going to see everybody wearing these bracelets. They're rubberized bracelets, but they're electronic devices as well. Just came out from a company called Jawbone. As soon as I saw this online, I pre-ordered it, and mine just arrived today. It's called the Jawbone Up, UP. Now, remember, the name Jawbone. They make Bluetooth headsets. A lot of people use the Jawbone Bluetooth headsets. But this new Up device is kind of interesting. It follows on a device that's been out for a year or so called the Fitbit. Fitbit you wore was basically a fancified pedometer, and that's still what this is, but this is a bracelet. You don't wear it on your belt. It's a pedometer in its most basic form. So as you move around, it records the number of steps you take. But it will also, when you put it in sleep mode, monitor your sleep, and whether you're tossing and turning or fast asleep, and it'll give you a graph of how much sleep you got for how long and so forth. There's another button you press. It will also monitor your exercise. And then, and this is kind of cool if you have an iPhone, there's a free iPhone app called Up. You plug the Up into the audio jack on the iPhone every once in a while. You don't have to do it all the time. And sync it. And it would automatically download from this fancy bracelet pedometer not only how many steps you've taken, but your sleep patterns and so forth. And then it makes a little graph for you. Hours slept, steps taken. The iPhone app also allows you to take pictures of your food. So it'll give you a very interesting kind of graphical display of what you did today, how many steps you took, when you exercised, what you ate. You can enter in calories as well. It'll keep track of that. It has a website that you can log into. It also has a social aspect. You can have people join your team and participate with you. So I'm Leo Laporte. If you'd like to be on my Up team, and you can be my friend, and you can challenge me, and you can say, "Go Leo, and you can, and you know, as we know, fitness and weight loss and overall health has a lot to do with support. I think this is really interesting. Now, I think at some point these devices will start being interconnected to a general health database that you can have online and keep track of your health, your blood pressure, for instance, your cholesterol, your weight. I already tweet my weight and my blood pressure because I have a Y Things blood pressure monitor and a Y Things scale that automatically tweet that. I think this would be cool if this would tweet as well. Again, not because I'm an exhibitionist. Well, maybe I am, but more because I think you get support. The idea is family and friends can monitor it and say, "Hey, you're doing great. Oh, Leo, you're starting to gain weight again." And that kind of support does make a difference. It's very interesting. So this is called Up. I just started it. I just put it on for the first time about 2 hours ago. Just came in the mail. Jawbone selling them. $99. And the iPhone app is free. Kind of interesting. So that's the test guy. My first test guy. I'll test this for you. Back to the phones we go. 8888 Ask Leo. And Steve's on the line from Lancaster, California, our next caller. Hi, Steve.
How are you today?
Fantastic. Thanks for calling. According to my Up, I'm doing very well.
Well, I'm doing very well also.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Anyway, every time I turn on my computer, and this just started the day before yesterday, I get a prompt or a box that says, I'll spell this out to you because it makes no sense to me because I'm computer illiterate. It says ACPMAINEXE file is linked to missing export KERNEL 32.ELL process first W. Whatever the hell that is.
What the heck is that?
No.
First of all, extremely annoying that they would tell you this. Because what the heck are you supposed to do with it?
I click the X and make it go away.
And that's about all you can do with it.
It doesn't seem to affect my computer at all.
Well, the ACPI is the power management. So, so what your computer is telling you, yeah, Dr. Mom in our chat room's got it. She says, "Oh, that's easy to understand. It means your computer's broken." And then Cool Breeze in the chat room is saying, "Use a hammer to fix it." I can't recommend that. What it's telling you is that there's something wrong with the connection between your power management and your kernel. The kernel is the operating system. So Microsoft's answer to what does this mean is to rerun setup and repair your instance of Windows. I think it is really a question of something wrong with your registry. And it could be, whenever I see errors like this, these are not normal errors, whenever I see errors like this, my first concern is that it was caused not by normal use, but by a bad guy. So unfortunately, malware and viruses are often so poorly written, and of course they attack system files like kernel 32, that when they get installed in your system, they can cause weird errors like this. This is not a common error. You shouldn't be seeing this error. It's a DL. I guess one way to say this is it's a library misconnection, that the ACPI program is looking for a DLL, and it's finding the wrong DLL. The DLL stands for. See, I'm just digging this hole deeper. This is not helping, is it? Well, you see, the problem is you've got a DLL conflict. Let me just tell it could be that your hard drive is having problems, and so there is an error. You know what happens when hard drives have problems is sometimes bits of the hard drive can't be read or are read improperly, and can give you weird errors. Sometimes we call it bit rot. That's actually a good description of it. The same kind of thing that happens when a car undercarriage gets corroded by use, by salt on the road. It's the same things happen to your hard drive. By use, it's corroded, and bits are missing, and perhaps that's what's causing it. Perhaps it's malware that's causing it. So the fix for this, Steve, first is to make sure it isn't malware. I'm going to ask you just my basic questions. Everybody listening should answer these questions for themselves. First of all, do you run system update regularly on Windows?
No.
No. Very bad. So I'll tell you what. You don't do much. Okay. So the system, Windows XP, I'm guessing?
No. You will probably laugh, like everybody else does that I talk to. I am running Millennium.
I got a funny response from Spiro and Megan here in our studio audience. They both gasped.
Yes, I
They
know.
both went, oh.
And so does everyone else.
Yeah. Wow, that wasn't even a good version of Windows 98.
I think if I could find one of those fix-it discs and run it, it might help a little bit.
When did you buy this computer?
Well, actually, it was given to me about, 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah. So,
and I don't know how.
Do you want a working computer?
Do I want a work? Oh, yes.
You do. For fun or profit? I mean, how important is it to you?
Well, both ways.
All right, hang on, because we got to take a break. My advice is going to be buy a new computer, but I'll talk about why in a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Dave in Lancaster, we've been talking to him. He's got a big time error message on his Windows Millennium computer.
Yes.
Yes, Dave. The problem with Millennium is that it is no longer being supported with updates anyway.
I know.
So, Windows Update is absolutely critical to run to keep yourself safe. Because what happens when Microsoft puts out an update, it's an announcement to bad guys that there's a problem, and the bad guys start looking at the update, and usually within a day come up with an exploit that takes advantage of people who didn't do the update.
Uh-huh.
That's why you got to do the update, because Microsoft's saying here's a problem. Unfortunately, there's good and bad news. Windows Millennium is old enough that it's probably been pretty thoroughly patched. So few people use it still that it's probably not being attacked too often. But I have to say there were a lot of exploits taking advantage of it, and if you run into one, and I suspect you have, you could be doing all sorts of damage with your computer, not merely to yourself but to the internet. Your computer could be being used as a zombie computer to attack other computers, to send spam. They could be monitoring you. They could be stealing your credit cards. There's all sorts of problems associated with it. If you had the original discs, Steve, you could reformat and get this computer back to life.
Yeah, well, my next project is to get a new computer.
Computers are so cheap now.
There's two businesses that my wife and I would really enjoy to get into, but to get into them, I need a whole bunch of different. I need a new computer.
You need a new computer, and so a modern Windows PC that would be conservatively 20 to 50 times faster than that computer will cost you about $400, $300, $400. You don't have to spend a lot of money, and you've been using a computer that's so old that anything that you buy that's modern is going to not only be faster, but it's going to be infinitely more secure. Now, I do want to point out that you can save this computer not by putting a new version of Windows ME on it, but by putting Linux on it. Linux is a free operating system that's available widely on the internet that is much more secure, is maintained by its users, and can do most of the things that you want to do. It doesn't run Windows software very well. It will run it, but not very well. Mostly you'll find Linux analogs for the Windows program. For instance, OpenOffice instead of Microsoft Office, things like that. Now, because it's such an old computer, you probably can't use Ubuntu, the current version of Ubuntu, which is the Linux that I generally recommend, because it's designed for Core 2 processors and later and so forth. But there is a version of Ubuntu, Xubuntu, that is designed for smaller, slower computers. So I would probably take a look at Xubuntu, Xubuntu. You Google Xubuntu and you'll find it very quickly. It's xubuntu.org. They do talk about the computers it'll run on. It doesn't take a lot of horsepower to use it. And it will bring that computer back to life. You could still buy a new computer, especially if you want to run Windows. I would buy a new computer. But you don't have to throw the old one out. And anybody who's listening who has a 10 or 11-year-old computer, as our caller does, Steve's got, let's see, if it's Windows ME, that's probably a 13 or 14-year-old computer, maybe 11. It's pretty old. It's really too old to be used for anything but, I think, a Linux install at this point. However, it could still be used. It could be used by kids to surf. You could get email on it. All the things, the modern things that you want to do will run quite well on Xubuntu. So that's probably what I would get. In fact, you might be surprised at how easy it is to use. It looks nowadays very much like Windows. xubuntu.org. It's free, easy to install. You'll be downloading. This will be the last use of your Windows Millennium. You'll be downloading the file and burning it onto a CD. I hope you have a CD burner. I think you probably do. Burning it onto a CD, and then you'll reboot to the CD and install it from there. It'll wipe your drive, so back up any data that you have. You want to wipe that drive. You want to start from fresh. Reformatting, partitioning, and reformatting that drive will also correct any drive flaws that you might have. I suspect that that's probably the problem. And you'll be better off than with ME. And then, truthfully, the best thing to do if you really want to do a business or do anything serious with your computer, just get a new computer. Lots of good choices out there. I like Dell. I think they make excellent, inexpensive, business-focused computers. They're really good. Probably be the place I would go. $299 for a dual-core Pentium. Chat room's telling me this is great. Nice big hard drive, Wi-Fi, 15-inch screen. This includes everything. Windows 7 Home Premium. Micro Center's selling that. That's an example of what you can get for $300. And it'll be so much faster and more reliable. Alan in West Los Angeles, California. You're next. Hey, Alan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Speaking of Carbonite, a very happy Carbonite customer, as well as one or two of your other advertisers, so just want to mention that.
Thank you.
Got a very basic question I have a feeling has a complex answer. Is it best to keep things like cell phones, computers, other things that run on a battery plugged in the wall? Is it better to take it out once in a while, run it down?
Great question.
What's the best thing to do?
The reason there's a lot of confusion over this is because different kinds of rechargeable batteries have different needs. NiCads, you remember, had a thing called a memory effect. That if you let the NiCad, if you didn't fully drain it and recharge it, it would start to store less and less juice. But that was NiCads. Nickel metal hydride, another form of rechargeables, didn't need to do that. Now, the rechargeable batteries in almost all laptops and smartphones these days are lithium-based, lithium-ion or lithium gel, and they have very different needs. My friend Steve Gibson actually just filled me in on this. He did some studies, looked at what people have figured out, and it turns out the best thing to do with lithium-ion batteries, and that's almost everybody's laptop and cell phone, is to plug them in whenever you can.
Really?
Yes. I know this is counterintuitive. You do not need to recondition them. There may be some odd cases where you do want to drain them and let them come back, but in most cases, the worst thing you can do for lithium ion is let it go all the way down.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's very different from what we're used to doing.
I know. It's a big change, and I was really glad that Steve did this research and filled us in on his show, Security Now. You want to plug it in whenever you can.
Interesting. So that means it doesn't make sense to like run it at 80% or something like that, because I've heard that.
No point.
Advice.
Now that some of that confusion comes from storage. If you're not going to use a device for a long period of time, a lithium-ion device for a long period of time, it's best to store it at 50% charge. But that's if you're storing it for weeks or months.
Right.
That's storage. Using it day in, day out, plug it in whenever you can. Keep it at 100%.
Exactly what I need to learn, Mr. Laporte.
Isn't that good? I'm so glad you asked that, Alan, because I've been meaning to talk about that. And
I'm glad I could be of service.
Yeah, and you can actually kill a lithium-ion battery by discharging it fully. It may never work again. So don't run it till dead. There is no advantage there. I've seen reconditioning programs and so forth. There may be some cases where that's important. Those are very specialized, unique cases. The best thing to do, it's very simple. Whenever you see a way to charge it, charge it. It's okay. It won't hurt it. Keep it charged at 100% if you can. Always keep it plugged in. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to talk computers and the internet, cell phones and camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. Phone number if you want to call. 8888 Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., well, that's okay. I'd love to hear from you. All you have to do is use Skype or some other VoIP app to call that toll-free number. Won't cost you anything. 88 Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. We're talking about all sorts of stuff. Coming up in about 45 minutes, the GizWiz, our gadget guru, Dick DiBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He'll have a gadget for us at 47 past the hour. But first, Raphael in Los Angeles, California. Hi, Raphael. Thanks for your patience. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for holding on.
Yeah, I just have a question about my Windows. I did a system restore,
Mm-hmm.
and when the computer rebooted, there was a sign that said, a pop-up that said the system restore was not complete because of some kind of an error. And I don't remember which error it was, but I think I have a virus or something.
Yeah, one of the things viruses do is block restores.
Yeah.
They also can infect restores. So if you think you have a virus, a system restore is not actually considered a effective way of eliminating a virus or malware. Older virus, less effective viruses maybe, but not the current crop. They're smart enough to put themselves in the restore file. So I can't promise that's what's wrong, but certainly that's a cause for concern. Have you scanned?
Yeah, I did. I ran a few different scans to the on the
and they
computer.
say you're clean? Well, okay. So that maybe you are clean. Now, one thing, of course, is that the system restore often will have a hard time completing if you're running security software.
Like?
I don't know, Norton, McAfee.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So what you want to do is make sure you disable any security software when you do the system restore.
Oh, okay.
Did you do that?
No.
Well, I'd try that. Why don't you give that a shot before you give up? I have a good feeling about this. You did all these different companies' scans, and none of them came up with anything.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. Doesn't mean I mean, look, nothing can say with absolute certainty you've got no virus. Proving the negative, as we all know, is very, very, very difficult. In this case, impossible. So it could be that you do have malware, but the fact that you ran multiple scans, multiple products, none of them came up with anything encourages me. So I'd turn off security, try doing the restore from safe mode.
Okay.
That way nothing is running extra and nothing will get in the way, and see if that works. Cross your fingers. I bet you that's all it is. It's just that the Norton stopped you from finishing. That's a known problem. Bob in Thousand Oaks, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah, Leo. Got a problem, and I'm sure you can help me with it.
Okay.
I'm in a house that has multiple laptops. We're on wireless, and periodically I'll get a error comes up that says there's another computer with my IP address, or the same IP address.
I hate it when that happens.
No,
so that should only happen if you've got a system, and it could be a computer, it could be an access point, it could be anything that has its own IP address, and that IP address is self-assigned or static. If everything is using what they call DHCP, Dynamic Host Control or Configuration Protocol, then every device on there is being assigned its own unique IP address by the router. You have a router, I presume.
I'm a novice at this.
Okay.
I turn on it works, so I accept that.
Yeah. So here's probably what we want to do. I know you're using Wi-Fi, so you do have a router. That's a Wi-Fi access spot. Okay. Probably that's the device plugged into your cable modem or your DSL modem, right? You have a DSL modem or a cable modem? How do you get online?
I just it's wireless in the house, and I just fire up my computer.
Do you have an internet service provider?
Yes.
Okay. Who's your internet service provider?
Verizon is into the house.
So you have DSL. You might have Fios, but I suspect you have DSL. So Verizon probably, when they set you up with that, gave you a DSL modem that had Wi-Fi in it. That's the box that's connected to your phone line.
System. I'm just one of the renters.
Oh, I get it. It's not your system.
No.
I get it. So now you're going to be a little bit at a disadvantage. What that probably means is not you. It's some other person has used a static IP address. So let me kind of give you a summary of how this works and the issue you're going to come up against. Normally, when we set up a computer, in fact, it's the default. The computer will not give itself every system on the network has to have a unique address. You can't have. It's like having the same phone number. We don't have party lines on the internet. Your internet service provider gives you an address on the public net, but you also have an address assigned to you by that box that's attached to the Verizon line. That's your internal address. Each one of those has to be unique. That's why you're getting a warning. Windows is saying, well, somebody else is using this address. Now, if you let the Verizon box, give you the address, which is the normal default, the way it works, automatic configuration, this won't happen. But if somebody has decided, I'm not going to use that address, I am going to enter in an address for my system. I'm going to give it an address, 192.168.1.23. That's my address. You're going to have a conflict because the router doesn't know that. When it assigns an address to you, it may conflict. And that's what that pop-up is saying. Well, wait a minute. Somebody else has this number already. So you're going to have to, I hate to say it, I mean, if you want to fix this, you got two choices. One, you can go to your neighbors and say, hey, turn off, don't use a static address. That ain't going to work. Or you can go into your system and assign a static address to your system. Do what the bad guy did. You just have to find one that doesn't match. That would be in the network configuration. Unfortunately, Windows makes this miserably difficult to do. You have to almost be an expert. You can safely ignore this message. If everything works and every once in a while I get this pop-up, I would just ignore it. The way to kind of get around it is to restart, refresh your connection, get another number from the router, and the conflict will go away. I suspect that's what's going on. Let's see, who's next here? Stuart in San Diego, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm well, Stuart. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I'm the converter boxes, television converter boxes, came out a couple of years ago. It turns out that it's a pain in the butt. I want to find out if you have any way of getting around it.
So you got the converter box. Let me find out what kind of converter box. Was this the one where all the stations were going digital and you have an old TV and you got the box that would let your old TV receive the digital stations? That kind of converter?
I believe so.
Yeah. Well, it's not the converter box. It's just what's happening there. Your best bet is to get a new TV. If you got a new TV today, a modern television, you wouldn't need a converter box. A television would be digital. It would receive the digital signal, and you'd get a much better picture. The problem is more likely, though, that you're in what we call a cliff area. See, the problem, when it was analog, you might not have been getting great reception, but you would still get reception. In the cliff areas, when it went to digital, people in those areas, the marginal areas, lost reception entirely. Are you getting no reception, or just, Stuart, or just bad reception?
No, I'm getting reception.
Oh, you are getting reception. It's just not good.
Yeah. No, I'm getting some stations that are black. They're cutting out. And, you know,
yeah, that's exactly it. That may just be merely your location. Unfortunately, your best bet is to get cable, to be honest with you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This is pleasant.
Do you recognize it?
Do I recognize it?
It's the Elder Scrolls.
Skyrim. Oh, Skyrim music, huh? This is what my life is going to sound like for the next 3 months. Hey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This is the very dramatic music, I must say, from a new game that came out yesterday called Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls 5. It's amazing what they do. I was fortunate enough to go to a recording session for the music for Uncharted 2, this is more than a year ago, at Lucas Film, Skywalker Ranch in Marin County, where they have one of the last 3 symphonic sound stages for recording. Big enough to hold 110 musicians with timpanis and tubas and violins and a conductor, and have hundreds of microphones. It's an amazing studio. And Sony recorded this beautiful symphonic score for this video game, for Uncharted 2. They've done the same for Uncharted 3, I'm sure. And Skyrim, which is brand new and has been years in the making, I'm sure they did the same thing. They spend a lot of money. This is like making a movie nowadays. This was a big week for video games. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came out on, Wednesday? $400 million of sales in the first day. They'll certainly go over $1 billion in sales in the first week or so. That's $400 million in the first day. That's more than any movie, more than any game, more than any entertainment title has ever done. It's a new record. Now, of course, video games cost $60 compared to $13 for a movie, but still, that's a lot of money. But they spend movie scale budgets on these games. $100 million, not a big deal to spend on a video game nowadays. So when you hear those soundtracks, those aren't synthesizers. They actually go into a studio with the L.A. Symphony in this case, or the San Francisco Symphony in the case of Uncharted 2, and they record this stuff. Amazing. But I tell you, if you ever get a chance to do that, well, it is wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. 8888 Ask Leo. So yeah, I started playing this Elder Scrolls 5 came out last night. I downloaded it and started playing it today, and I can tell I should probably just erase it now. It's going to ruin my life. It's an adventure game. You fight dragons. You have to choose a race to be. You can be an elf or a mage or a thief. You have to create this character, and then you discover things, and you fight battles, and you gather loot, and it's just totally addictive. And this is an amazingly rich game environment. And you could pretty much wander at will. It's what they call it, kind of an open environment. It's a game that doesn't have... Some games have... they're on rails, where you have to go here, you have to do this, you have to do... Not this. It's wide open. It's kind of amazing. I don't have sales figures for Skyrim, but I suspect it will do pretty well. Not as well as Modern Warfare 3. People seem to like the shooter games more. I like the sword and sorcery stuff. Andy is in Longview, Texas. Our next caller. Hi, Andy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey.
Good to talk to you. We love your show.
Thank you.
I always learn something when I listen in.
Thank you. By the way, so the chat room just mentioned, thank you in the chat room, that for our last caller who's having antenna problems, there is a good website, I've mentioned this before, called Antenna Web. Antenna Web, you can enter your address and it'll tell you what the status is of your neighborhood, if you are on a cliff area, and recommend antennas that might improve your reception. Thank you, chat room, for that information. AntennaWeb.org. Ron in SoCal gave us that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, Andy.
It's okay. I sent this question to the chat room, but they blew right through it. So
it goes fast. I'll tell you.
I didn't know if that was the way to do it or not.
No, that's a good start. But there's 837 people in there. Sometimes, as you can tell, things scroll by pretty quickly.
They do.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a new iPad. Well, I've had an iPad for several months now. iPad 2, Wi-Fi only.
Okay.
And I'd love to use it for GPS. So I found out I could get a Bluetooth GPS receiver to use the GPS function with my Wi-Fi only iPad 2.
Yeah, because unfortunately, the iPads only come with GPS if you buy the 3G version.
Right, it's part of the GP. It's
part of the 3G package. So you can buy a Bluetooth. You can buy a GPS receiver that doesn't have a screen, doesn't have any kind of input. It's just like it looks like a little key chain dongle.
I got the dual one. It's cool. It goes right on the dash. But the problem is, when I went into iTunes and tried to purchase a GPS Navigator app, it won't download to my iPad because my iPad doesn't have GPS.
Ow! That hurts. That would be the Apple way, wouldn't it?
Yes, and here's my recent mantra. I love my iPad. I can't stand iTunes.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. You're not alone. iTunes is, it's funny. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were on stage a couple of years ago at the D conference, and Steve gave an interview the morning before to somebody and said that iTunes for Windows was like giving ice water to people in hell, and it really hurt Bill Gates' feelings. And you know what? It was wrong, because iTunes is not a great program on Macintosh. It's a horrible program on Windows.
That's what I'm running.
Everybody agrees. Well, I mean, you can also, as you know, with your iPad, download directly to the iPad. But if they have, I didn't know this, if they've blocked GPS apps to iPads that don't have 3G, that's ridiculous. Now, here's the one I recommend, and give it a try. You must be able to get this. It's MotionX GPS.
I saw that one, but I saw that. I tried the Telenav GPS because it was a little bit cheaper than the MotionX.
Well, try MotionX. It's only a few bucks.
Yeah, right.
It uses map. The problem is it won't be very useful as you go around because you don't have internet access. So it downloads its maps, as does Telenav. I don't know about Telenav, but MotionX downloads its maps as you go. You can't cache them ahead of time.
Right. There's some that they'll download.
Yeah, the $100 ones like TomTom have their own maps. The issue is, are they going to recognize that GPS dongle?
Well, it does. There was a Dual. Dual has an app that I did download through the.
Well, that's it. See, so you can buy an app that's smart enough to say query the dongle, but will these GPS apps, these driving apps that you want, will they is another matter.
Yeah, they didn't. They block it when I bought it, tried to download it. It says this iPad can't do this.
That's frustrating as heck. That's Apple doing that.
I saw online some people said, they jailbroke them to do it, and I really didn't.
No, you don't want to. Now, in our chat room, Web4926 says Navigon works on his Wi-Fi only iPad. So Navigon would be one to try.
Okay.
I would try MotionX GPS. If that works, it is absolutely my favorite GPS. I prefer it. I use it on my 3G iPad, but I prefer it to a Magellan, to a Garmin, to any other standalone GPS, the GPS in my car, to anything. It's great because, first of all, you got the iPad screen, which is the biggest screen of all. Very easy turn-by-turn directions. And because it downloads its maps as it goes, they're always up to date, which is often a problem with downloaded, software. The Monarch says he uses his Navigon and dual GPS dongle on his Wi-Fi iPad 1. It works fine. So it sounds like Navigon is the way to go. Give that one a try. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, I stand corrected. I thought that the big game announcement of this week would be Modern Warfare 3, the Call of Duty sequel, and, of course, heavily awaited. But apparently, Skyrim is doing even better. This is the fifth version of the Elder Scrolls, and it's more my style because it's kind of a sword and sorcerer fantasy adventure game. Modern Warfare 3 is basically World War II. It's a army combat game. And Steam, which offers both titles, Steam is actually a great way to game on a PC or Mac because you can download the games, buy them there, download them, and play them on any computer that's connected to Steam with your account. According to Steam, Skyrim had 251,593 concurrent players in the first hour, or first 24 hours, compared to a mere 78,000 on Modern Warfare 3. I don't know if that means Modern Warfare 3 didn't sell as many, though. But at least on Steam, in both cases you can buy a DVD of the game, but at least on Steam, or play it on Xbox or PlayStation 3. I suspect Call of Duty probably does best on Xbox anyway. So Steam might not be a good measure. But apparently 250,000 concurrent users playing this sword and sorcery game. And I was one of them. Love those things. If I disappear for the next few weeks, you'll know why. Nathan in Torrance, California, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Nathan.
How's it going?
Going good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got here because my grandmother listens to you.
So you think, I'm going to call this guy that Grandma thinks is a smart tech guy, huh? Oh, man. I got to call this guy Grandma? All right. Do you play Skyrim or Modern Warfare 3?
Usually a Nintendo guy, so I would have to go for Call of Duty.
Yeah. How about the new Zelda just came out?
Yeah, Skyrim Sword.
Yeah.
Might probably take a look at it.
That looks pretty good.
I'm mostly anticipated on Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7 and pretty much that.
You like the Marios?
Yeah, Mario and Sonic's and
I love Sonic. I miss Sonic.
Me too.
Yeah. So what can I do for you though? You said Grandma had a question.
Well, you could call me Nathan, but anyway. Yeah, so I was getting a tablet for Christmas, but I see most of my friends using the iPad 2.
Yeah.
And I discovered the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 because it was an Android system.
I have both, by the way, and I love them both.
Oh, okay.
And for you, I might, we had a caller earlier, and I said, just get an iPad. That's the one everybody should get because it's got all the apps. It's the most, it's the most advanced. It's the most polished. But you're a young geek.
Yeah.
And you may say, I want to, I'm more interested in Android because there's more geekery involved.
Well, I was just asking Well, I got two questions about this.
Okay.
What do you prefer better, the Samsung Galaxy 10.1 or the iPad 2? And my second question is that I know that the iPad 2 has Skype support, but does the Galaxy Tab 10.1
Yes. You can run Skype on both.
Oh, okay.
Both have front-facing cameras. Both will work equally well. In fact, as far as specs go, they're fairly comparable. That's a difficult question because when you look at the hardware on the Galaxy Tab and the hardware on the iPad 2, fairly equivalent. Where really they differ is that old Mac versus PC thing. In this case, it's Android versus iOS. It's the operating system and the apps available. Here's the knock, in my opinion, on Android tablets. There are not very many apps that are tablet aware that use the screen effectively. Far more apps on the iPad. And in fact, Nathan, if your friends all have iPads, you might feel a little bit left out. If they're playing Angry Birds, you can play Angry Birds. But there are lots of games, lots of fun things to do on the iPad that are not anywhere near available on the Android side. I'm also of the opinion that the Android operating system for tablets, Honeycomb, is not very good. It's not very polished. It's not great. On the other hand, Nathan, I don't think you'd be unhappy with Android. I think you'd like it. I think more is the question, do you want to have what your buddies have or not? And for some teenagers, not having what everybody else has is a good thing. Are you a nonconformist? Then you might say, yeah, I'm not going to do what the herd does. I'm going to get an Android tablet.
Well, yeah, but it's just that I was, trying to find a more quality system out of the two.
I don't think it's a more quality system. I think there's no question that the iPad is the champagne of tablets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I've been hearing about the iPad 2 and the Galaxy Tab 10.1, and I've been hearing a lot about which one has Flash and which one does not.
See, I think, yes, and it's true that the Androids have Flash, and iPads do not. Now, of course, they aren't going to have Flash much longer because Adobe says we're not going to do Flash on portable devices. It doesn't work very well, and that's been my experience. It doesn't work very well. There's plenty of horsepower on the Galaxy Tab to play it, but it's just, it's clunky and funky. That would be the only advantage, though. You hit it. The only advantage Android has is, yes, you can do Flash on it.
Okay, but Adobe said that they're not going to be...
Adobe has announced this week that they're not going to do Flash anymore for portable devices. So, I mean, it'll still be around. It's not like they're going to pull it off the market. They just aren't going to update it. So you'll be able to use the current Flash for, indefinitely.
Oh, okay.
I have both. I like the Galaxy Tab. I don't dislike it. There's a broader range of software. There's far more software designed for the iPad screen real estate than there is for the Android tablet. But I think there. For most people, I'd say without doubt, get an iPad because you're young, you're hip, you're with it, and you're probably a little bit more geeky than your grandma. I say either one would be fine for you. And you may like the Galaxy Tab because now it is open. You can get apps from anybody you want. You don't have that Apple restriction on you. Apple has really locked the iPad down. That's an advantage. For some people, it's more secure. The apps are more polished. I'm really thinking that for the vast majority of users, the iPad's the easy, no-brain choice. You are an exception, Nathan. And you probably should go to a store and try both before Grandma buys it for you. But you are a lucky grandson. Jacob in Lake Elsinore, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
Well, how are you?
I'm good. Okay. So I make plane spotting videos for my YouTube channel. Do you know what plane spotting is?
No. What's your YouTube channel?
It's youtube.com/CA plane spotting.
So do you spot aeroplanes?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a not really well-known hobby, but a lot of people do it.
It's like bird watching, only you're looking for planes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but for me...
How many different planes have you spotted?
Oh, geez. Hundreds.
Hundreds? And you keep track of it just like birders do?
Yeah. We I write down serial numbers and I track them on the internet just to see where they go, and we just.
Do you ever get in trouble with the police for taking pictures of airplanes?
Yeah. Actually, we were at John Wayne Airport one time, and we drive a black Suburban, which probably wasn't the best car to take. And I was on top of the car with my tripod, my shotgun microphone, and it was ridiculous.
Well, let's talk. I know what you want to do because I see the call screener, and I have a good answer for you, so stay tuned. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So we're going to get the Gizwiz on here in just a second. Our gadget guru, Dick DiBartolo. But I want to talk first, finish up with plane spotter Jacob from Lake Elsinore. Jacob takes pictures of airplanes from the top of his black SUV. And what do you use right now?
Right now I use the Canon HFM30, but I'm going to be upgrading to the XF300 in a couple months.
Okay.
But
boy, you got some investment into this thing. That's great.
Oh yeah. So for right now, actually, I'm using the Rode NTG2 shotgun microphone, and I have that going into the 3.5 mic jack on the side of the camera.
Right. I use that too. It's a stereo video mic with a fuzzy ball on it to cut wind noise, and it does a good job.
Oh yeah, it does. And so I also like to record the air traffic control transmission so that the video goes in sync. So when the plane takes off, you can actually hear from the controller saying.
Wow, this is an interesting hobby. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun once you get into it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking to record both the air traffic control and the actual sounds of the plane taking off with my shotgun microphone, but I can't figure out how to plug my iPhone 4S and my shotgun microphone into that one jack. Because
If I were you, I wouldn't try to record it at the same time. I'd sync them after the fact. There's a great program for the iPhone called TuneIn Radio Pro that will pick up those. It picks up scanners. I'm not sure if it'll pick up the airplane scanner, but you can give it a try. It has recording built in. So you just start the record and then take the recording off the iPhone and synchronize it.
So does that say like in an MP3 file? Or
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
That would be much easier than trying to record it all at the same time.
Right. Okay.
So record it separately, in other words. And now that has some scanners. I don't know if it'll have all the airport frequencies that you want. What do you use now to get the airport frequencies?
I just use liveatc.net. It's the app that's on the App Store. So I just download it, and I usually put my the iPhone speaker up to my shotgun microphone. But
I would, let's take a step up and record it separately. It's easy. You must edit it somehow, an iMovie or something at the end of the day. Yeah. In iMovie or whatever, you just import it as an extra soundtrack. You can match it up exactly. It'd be a much easier way to do it.
Okay.
Better audio too.
Yeah, true. I was thinking about that.
YouTube.com/CA plane spotting.
Yeah, or you can go to my website.
Which is?
CAplanespotting.com.
How cool. And you make money? Can you make a living doing this?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually, I can enable revenue sharing on my YouTube videos, which all of them are now. So.
And you're getting a lot of views? Well, you will now.
Yeah, the one that's gotten the most views is the one of the Airbus A380, which is the biggest.
Yeah, that's the big one. I want to see that.
Yeah, it's gotten over 3,000 views so far.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Jacob. That's what's cool about the internet. The technology that it used to make these movies, to edit these movies, is very inexpensive. You just need a laptop computer, and then and a camera, and then you put it on the internet, and you get a worldwide audience, and you can actually have fun and make some money with your hobby. I love it. Dick Bartolo figured out how to do that long ago. He's a gadget hound, a gadget nut. And he said, if I started maybe writing articles about these, going on TV shows, talking about my gadgets, I could perhaps make a living. He writes for Mad Magazine, but he subsidizes his gadget passion by coming on this show and telling you about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Gizwiz, Dick Bartolo. Hi, Dick.
Leo, how you doing?
I'm very well. Welcome to the show. Sorry about the delay. I wanted to get that last call out of the way.
Oh, yeah, no problem. That's fascinating.
Did you know? I mean, I know you're into trains.
Yeah, no, in the chat room, it went by really quick, but someone said, I do the same thing, but I do it with trains. So maybe...
you're a train spotting, plane spotting.
Freak.
I know you love trains. He's got a train in his backyard.
I do.
Yeah.
When Amtrak first put service back under Riverside Park, there are several gratings where you can see the tracks, and for the first week, I carried an Amtrak schedule with me, so I could peek down.
You know what you would see.
Yeah, exactly.
That's neat. So what's your gadget for the week?
Gadget today, it's two quickies. They're both from Joby, Joby. The first is, I know a lot of your listeners are camera fans. The first is probably the world's smallest tripod. It's called the Gorilla Pod, the Micro 250. And this guy is really tiny. Weighs less than an ounce, just a touch over 2.5 inches long. And Joby says you can screw it in the bottom of your camera, just leave it in there. It folds up. When you get to a point where you want to shoot on an uneven surface, you unfold the three legs. It has a little head that can pivot up to 36 degrees.
That's cool.
And you can steady your camera under $20. And if you have a bigger camera and you want a more sophisticated way to actually hang your camera from everywhere, I don't have this latest version, but I have the early one. You can wrap it around tree branches, park benches, and that's called the Gorilla Pod Hybrid. And what they've added to the hybrid is a little level.
So you need that, because otherwise you're all whopper-jawed. You're like tilting
exactly.
and all the
you wrap it around just about anything. Check the level that what you've wrapped it around, and it has like 24 articulated little joints for the legs, so it's really easy to adjust it in any position. And you'll be happy to know that the company says the rubber will stay firm and grippy for years.
For years to come.
Yeah, you don't want your rubber not to be grippy.
I know how that is.
Yeah, tell me.
Gizwiz.biz. That's the place to go. That's Dick's website. And you got to play the new What the Heck Is It contest. He's got some weird new gadget that is completely inexplicable. But if you could figure it out, there's a Mad magazine with his name on it for you. He autographs them. He's got 12 for the right answer, but this is important. He's also got 24 for the wrong answer.
Yeah, we like silly.
Silly's good. Gizwiz.
I know that's a novelty for me, but I like silly.
No, you're so serious, Dick. It's good that you're lightening up. Gizwiz.biz. Dick does a weekly gadget podcast called The Weekly Daily Gizwiz with us on our TWiT network. You can catch that at twit.tv or watch it live because we're going to do it right after the radio show. Dick, I'll see you then.
I'll be there.
I hope so. Won't be much fun without you. Last call of the day. Adi in London. Adi, hello.
Oh, good evening there. Thanks for taking my call.
Mike, great pleasure. Thank you for calling in. What can I do for you?
Here's the thing. As you may know, I previously mentioned my podcast, the MHS Tech Show, and I've recently bought my own hosting, right?
Yep.
And what I want to do is I'm basically trying to look for a proper way to get the whole RSS feed thing going through iTunes. Now, I'm just thinking, yes, I could possibly do it through WordPress, which is proving an absolute pain. And if I can't do it through WordPress, then what other alternatives do I have?
There's another company called Libsyn. They have a website, libsyn.com, where they offer very inexpensive storage. They don't charge you for bandwidth, so they'll host your podcast at very little cost to you. And when you do a blog post, an update to your podcast on Libsyn, it automatically creates an iTunes web, RSS feed, so you can show up as an iTunes podcast. That's a very easy way to do it. LIBSYN. Yeah, you hear the magic sounder. That means we're out of time. LIBSYN.com. Thank you, Adi. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.